Emma Walker had always been the kind of woman who kept her home quiet, warm, and steady. Living in a small suburb outside Seattle, she spent most of her evenings trying to finish her chores before her husband, Michael, became annoyed by the smallest noise. She moved quickly, without thinking much about herself, trying to keep the house running smoothly as she had done for years. That evening, the sky outside was turning a soft gray, and a cold wind brushed against the windows. Emma hurried across the kitchen to put away a basket of laundry. Her back hurt from the long day, and her hands were tired, but she told herself she just had a few more things left to do. She balanced the basket on her hip, turned too fast, and stepped on a small wet patch on the floor. Her foot slid before she even understood what was happening. The fall came suddenly. Her body twisted, and a sharp pain tore through her left side, like something deep inside had stretched too far. She grabbed the counter just in time, but the damage was done. A pulled muscle near her ribs made her gasp. She lowered herself to the floor, breathing carefully, afraid the pain would grow worse if she moved too quickly. For a moment, she just sat there trying to steady her breath. "Michael," she called out, her voice tight. He sat only a few steps away in the living room, his eyes fixed on his phone, the blue light glowing across his face. He didn't look up. Emma called his name again, her voice softer this time. Partly from pain and partly from habit, she never wanted to sound like she was complaining. "I think I fell," she said, hoping he would at least come to check on her. Without turning his head, Michael replied, "Then get up slowly." "Emma, I'm busy." His tone was flat, almost bored, and the words hit her harder than the fall. Over the years, she had grown used to his lack of warmth, but in moments like this, the reality cut deeper. She swallowed the ache in her chest and tried to push herself up, but the pain shot through her again, stopping her. Before she could try again, the front door opened with a familiar sound. Their 24-year-old son, Ethan Walker, stepped inside. He had just come back from work, his jacket still zipped, his hair slightly messy from the cold air. He dropped his keys on the table, and that's when he saw her on the floor. "Mom?" His voice was sharp with worry as he rushed toward her. "What happened?" Emma tried to smile through the pain, the same way she always covered up her tired heart. "I slipped. I think I pulled something." Ethan was already kneeling beside her, one arm around her shoulders to help her sit up straighter. His concern was warm, real, gentle, nothing like the distant voice that came from the living room. "Does it hurt to breathe?" he asked quietly. "A little," she admitted. Ethan looked toward the couch. "Dad, did you not hear her fall?" His voice shook with disbelief, not anger but something close to it. Michael didn't move. "I heard." "She's fine. She always makes a big deal about small things." Emma closed her eyes for a second, the words sinking into her. She wasn't dramatic. She was hurt, and yet her pain felt invisible to the one person who should have cared first. She looked down, embarrassed that her son had to see this side of their home. Ethan's jaw tightened. He placed Emma's hand around his arm and helped her stand slowly, supporting her weight as if she were fragile, precious. The pain eased slightly when she leaned against him. "Mom, let me help you to the couch," he said softly. Emma nodded, grateful, and he guided her gently across the room. She felt her son's strength steadying her, giving her comfort she didn't realize she had missed for so long. When she reached the couch, he helped her sit down with care, adjusting a cushion behind her back. Ethan knelt in front of her again, meeting her eyes. "Why didn't you call me?" "I didn't want to bother you, sweetheart," she whispered. He shook his head. "You never bother me." The words were simple, but they warmed something inside her. a reminder of love she still had in this house. She placed her hand on his cheek for a moment, touched by the kindness he carried so naturally. But as she looked across the room, she saw Michael scrolling through his phone, untouched by everything that had just happened. His silence filled the living room like heavy smoke. She felt a sadness she had never said out loud, a loneliness hidden deep behind years of quiet acceptance. Ethan noticed too. His eyes darkened, not with hate, but with an understanding that came painfully late. For the first time in his life, he saw the truth his mother had learned long ago. She had been carrying the weight of her marriage alone. When Michael finally glanced up, Ethan was already helping Emma lean back comfortably. "She's fine," Michael muttered, as if that excused everything. Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he stayed beside his mother, one hand resting gently over hers, promising with his presence what she had been missing for years' care. And deep inside, Emma felt something shift. The fall had hurt her body, but it also showed her something she had ignored for too long. This wasn't just an accident. It was a wake-up call. And as her son sat beside her, she realized she wasn't as alone as she had believed all these years. Ethan guided Emma to the couch as carefully as if she were made of glass. He could feel the tension in her body every time she breathed, and he kept one hand on her shoulder to steady her. She tried to sit upright without showing how much it hurt, but he noticed everything. He always had. "Mom, you shouldn't move too much," he said softly. Emma forced a small smile. "It's just a pulled muscle. I'll be fine soon." Ethan didn't believe that. He saw the way she held her side, the way her face tightened when she shifted even a little. He had seen her tired before, but this was different. This was pain mixed with something deeper, something she didn't say out loud. Michael sat only a few feet away, flipping channels as if nothing in the world had changed. The sound of the television filled the room, but it couldn't hide the cold air between him and his wife. "Dad," Ethan said suddenly, "why didn't you help her?" Michael didn't look up. "Because she falls all the time. It's nothing new." Emma's eyes lowered to her lap. She didn't fall all the time. She simply never made a scene when she needed help. Ethan swallowed his frustration. "She could barely breathe when I came in." "She's talking now, isn't she?" Michael replied, shrugging. The answer stunned Ethan. He had always tried to believe his parents' marriage was stable, even if distant. But today, the truth was too clear. His mother wasn't cared for. She was tolerated. Ethan shifted closer to Emma. "Mom, we're going to urgent care." "Oh, sweetheart, that's too much trouble," Emma whispered. "It's not trouble," he said firmly. "It's necessary." Michael scoffed. "Urgent care? For a pulled muscle? Waste of money." Emma looked between the two men, her son standing strong for her, and her husband acting like she was a burden. Her chest tightened, the emotional pain rising even higher than the physical. "Mum," Ethan said gently, "I'm taking you. You don't have to argue. Just let me help you." For a moment she hesitated. Years of habit told her to stay quiet, not to cause waves, not to demand anything. But her side burned with pain, and her heart burned with something else. Realization. She nodded. "All right, let's go." Ethan helped her up, holding her arms steady. She leaned on him because she had to, but also because it felt safe. He grabbed her coat from the hanger and wrapped it around her shoulders, his hands gentle. Michael looked over briefly. "If you want to throw money away, go ahead." Ethan didn't answer. There was no point. He guided Emma toward the door, taking small steps so she wouldn't feel rushed. The cold outside air hit them, and Emma inhaled carefully, feeling the sharp tug in her ribs again. Ethan opened the car door for her, supporting her as she eased into the seat. He closed the door softly, something so small, but something she noticed. He always cared about the small things. As he drove, he kept glancing at her with worry. "Does it hurt to breathe?" "A little," she said quietly. "Mostly when I move." Ethan's hands tightened around the steering wheel. "I'm sorry I wasn't home earlier." She reached over and touched his wrist. "You have your own life, sweetheart. I'm proud of you." Her words were calm, but Ethan felt the weight behind them. She had always carried everything alone. Even now, she tried to make things easier for everyone but herself. They reached urgent care, and Ethan helped her out of the car. Inside, he filled out the forms quickly, answering questions before she could speak. He steadied her when she shifted in her chair, noticing every small wince she tried to hide. When the nurse called her name, Ethan walked beside her into the exam room. The doctor examined her and listened carefully as she explained what happened. She described the sharp pull, the difficulty breathing when she moved, and the discomfort along her side. "You pulled a muscle near your rib cage," the doctor explained gently. "It's painful, but it will heal with rest and proper care. Avoid bending, lifting, or sudden movements." Emma nodded, relieved to have answers. But Ethan watched her closely, noticing how she tensed whenever the doctor pressed near the injured area. He asked questions, making sure he understood what she needed to recover. As they left the clinic, Ethan placed a steadying hand on her back. "Mom, you're staying with me for a few days. I'll help you." "Oh no, Ethan," she tried to argue. "I don't want to bother you." He stopped. She blinked, surprised by the firmness in his voice. She had never heard him talk like that. And in that moment, she realized something painful, yet freeing. Her son treated her with more love and respect than her husband had in years. They walked to the car slowly, the cold wind brushing against them. Emma felt tired, sore, and emotional, but for the first time that evening, she felt supported, seen, valued. Inside the car, Ethan turned on the heater and glanced at her again. "We'll get through this, Mom. I'm here." His voice held a quiet promise that wrapped around her heart. Emma leaned back, closed her eyes, and let the warmth fill her chest. The pain was still there, but something had shifted inside her. Her fall wasn't just an accident. It was the moment she finally saw the truth of her life, and she knew things could never go back to the way they were. The ride home from urgent care felt quieter than usual, even though the winter wind outside tapped softly against the car windows. Emma sat with her hands folded in her lap, trying to breathe without letting the pain show. Ethan kept one eye on the road and one on her, checking every few seconds to make sure she was comfortable. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. "I will be," she said, though her voice carried a tired softness. "It's just surprising how something so small can hurt this much." "Mom," Ethan said, "you didn't fall lightly." And the muscle pulled hard. Anyone would be in pain. She nodded, appreciating the way he spoke to her. Not as if she were overreacting, not as if she were difficult, but as someone who mattered. It had been years since she felt spoken to like that. When they reached home, the porch light glowed weakly against the dark sky. Ethan helped her out of the car, his hand steady around her arm. Every step reminded her of the pull in her side, but having him beside her made it easier. Inside, Michael didn't move from his spot. He didn't ask how the appointment went. He just glanced over, almost annoyed, like they had interrupted his quiet evening. "Told you it wasn't serious," he said. Emma felt something inside her shift, a strange mix of hurt and clarity. She didn't want to fight. She didn't want drama. She just wanted understanding, even just a sliver of it. But Michael offered none. Ethan exhaled slowly, controlling the frustration on his face. "Mom, let's get you to your room." Emma nodded and Ethan helped her up the stairs. Each step was slow, but he didn't rush her. "I did need you," she said. "Not just last night. For years." Michael looked confused, almost annoyed, as if she was speaking in a language he had never learned. "I've carried this home. I've carried this marriage," she said, her voice trembling but strong. "I stayed quiet because I thought it kept the peace. But all it did was make me disappear." Silence filled the room. Ethan's hand rested lightly on her back, reminding her she wasn't alone. Michael finally replied, "You're being dramatic." Those words sealed everything. Emma took a slow breath, the pain in her side warning her to move carefully. "I don't want to disappear anymore." Ethan's eyes softened at her strength, pride shining through. "I'm going to stay with Ethan for a few days," she said calmly. "I need rest. And I need space." Michael scoffed. "Fine, go." His lack of concern didn't hurt her the way it once would have. Instead, it confirmed what she already knew. She had been emotionally alone for a long time. Ethan helped her pack a small bag. As they stepped outside into the crisp evening air, Emma felt something unexpected. Relief. Not because she was leaving her home, but because she was finally choosing herself. They reached Ethan's car, and he opened the door for her again just as gently as before. "Mum," he said softly, "you did the right thing." She nodded, tears slipping quietly down her cheeks. For the first time in a long time. "I think I believe that." As the car pulled away from the house, Emma watched the familiar street pass by. The pain in her ribs reminded her of the fall, but the strength in her heart reminded her of something more powerful. She wasn't the same woman who fell in the kitchen. She wasn't the woman who stayed silent. She wasn't the woman who accepted indifference. She was finally someone who saw her own worth. And with her son beside her, she knew she was stepping into a life where she would no longer fall alone.